Now, before we get into the first phase, let me just say that this is a guide and not a specific tutorial for this base. This video is meant to teach you how to replicate the process to build a base perfectly suited to you and your gameplay. That being said, I'm designing this base based on my own gameplay preferences since I don't know you personally. I'm also including a detailed build through of all the rooms I believe are most important to include in a useful base for survival Minecraft. With all that being said, let's get started. The first thing you want to make sure you get right is the area you want to build your base in. In other words, this is going to come down to the actual biome you want to build your base in. For instance, I'm currently in a plains biome. I love this because it's very open. I have a nice flat piece of ground here. However, the tree population around here is very limited, and for the most part, I'm just going to have oak and maybe some birch as well. With all that being said, before I can start building, I need to just prepare this area a little bit, which means I'm probably just going to flatten this area out so that I have a big enough zone to build the base. This is also an opportunity to try your hand at a few terraforming skills. It's also a lot of fun. I enjoyed quite a bit. Ooh, this is a time lapse. And just like that, I have a nice large space here to use for the build. Now comes the, well, I like to consider this the more fun part, and that's basically planning out the shape of your base. So I'm going to lay something out over here, and this is going to be personal preference to me, but then I'm going to explain to you why I've done what I've done. Ooh, this is another time lapse. Now, before I go any further, let me explain this little bit of a shape I've built here. I just kind of allowed my creativity to take over, and I thought it would be a good idea to build a base in the shape of an H. Full disclosure, I have already made a tutorial on an H-shaped base, and the Minecraft community really seemed to enjoy that because it got like 5 million views. I think this base is going to work pretty well for general survival use. And then what I've done over here is I made a much longer section over here. This is 11 blocks by, I think it's about 5 wide. This is going to be the staircase, but I'm not going to be using stairs for it. I want the slope in the staircase to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to be using slabs here, which is why I needed this shape a little bit longer. And then I've also wanted to place priority on making this very accessible for survival, so I made an entrance on both sides just so that it's very easy to get in from wherever you are. Now, right from the outside here, there is one more thing that I can do, and that is basically demarcate an area where I would like a farm to be. I can say anything here, can't I? Okay, cool. By this stage now, it's starting to look a little bit big and a little bit complicated, but don't worry, I'm going to simplify this for you really quick. And just keep in mind, you definitely do not have to build your base nearly as big as this. The measurements are extremely simple, and this is just something I try to stick by. I try to use odd numbers, so I built this H in a way where this is 7 blocks across, which allows for 5 blocks of space inside. That's how you're gonna have enough space inside. And more or less the same thing over here. There's 5 blocks in the middle, so this entire area has just been marked out to make sure that there's 5 blocks of space as like a width inside. Then I simply just marked out a staircase over here, which, like I said, it's about 11 blocks long, and it just follows, it literally just follows the gap that was left. That's no thinking needs to be done here. You just follow the gap that was left, apart from the 11 blocks long. And then all I did for the farm part was I just made sure there was like a gap over here, and then I just took it so that it's not ending absolutely flush here, just so that it looks a little bit more interesting. And I just repeated that all the way across. So a lot of this really looks a lot more complicated than it is. So just keep in mind, start with a central shape and then just work your way out from there. If you were to take these measurements now and write them all down, it would be a whole lot more complicated. It's a lot more simple to just work from your initial shape and add feature as you see it and as you want it, and you can just work out from there. The final thing I'd like to say for this part of the guide is this is the planning phase, and it's incredibly important. This is where you can choose where you want everything before you start building. It's going to save you a lot of frustration in the future. For instance, I know I want the staircase here, I want the farm there, I want an enchanter here with a portal there, and maybe a bedroom over here with perhaps a mine or a storage zone over there, and I know that I can maybe make this a second story deep. So knowing all of that is going to save me a lot of frustration when I start building, because a lot of the times when you start building, there's like a lot more you need to fix before you can, or a lot more you need to change before you can make another change if you made it on the fly, and you kind of just start getting in your own way. So put as much effort into this planning phase as you possibly can. Alright, now we can get started with the actual building part of this, and one of the most important things arguably is choosing which material you're going to be using. So I've been thinking I want to make this like a survival theme build, so I'm going to go with oak logs because these materials are the closest to me right now. Now, because I also said that I want this to be a double story, I'm probably going to use stone bricks for like the basement area because I want it to look a little bit like a basement. And if I think about any other blocks I might need, it might be some oak slabs as well in there. But basically these are the main materials I'm going for: oak, wood and stone. So knowing that, I can get started by just building essentially the core structure of this base. Now, before we can start placing blocks, we're going to first need to dig out the underground base, which means if you're doing this in survival, you're probably going to need a whole bunch of pickaxes. For me, thankfully I'm in creative, so I can do this pretty quick. Also, the space is very large. Just keep in mind, I'm going to be digging this middle hole out by 9 blocks deep. I'm going to be leaving these exactly as they are, and the staircase I'm going to be making 5 blocks deep because the staircase is going to go into the first level here, and by digging 9 blocks deep, I can already start building the second level from the bottom up. The internet has entrusted me with too much power. Wait, there are multiple time lapses. What do I do? Meow. I like ice cream. Pineapple on pizza is nice. Man, now I'm hungry. And if I can also just add, if you are doing this in survival, you're probably going to need to do this like piece by piece, or you should create a starter house or a base just separately somewhere while you collect the materials to be able to do this. And another tip, if you are doing this in survival, come down here and just light the place up real quick because there are going to be so many mobs spawning here, and that's just going to make the job a whole lot more difficult. But with all of that covered, as you can see, the main part of the base's structure has been built now. Now, I'm quite a big fan of, after this stage, or even maybe before this stage, just working on your farm so that it can grow while you build the base. That's probably going to be the best way to do it in survival so that you have a solid food source. I am speed, but editing me is faster. Wait, slow down, I'm getting dizzy. And just like that, the farm part of this build is done. And by the way, I also added a few lanterns on these logs just because light is quite important. Now, full disclaimer, the next thing we're going to be doing is repeating the slab thing on top of these logs for the entire base, and I'm going to be putting logs on lanterns on all of these logs over here as well. And then I'm also going to be placing a layer of glass on this level. This way you still have 3 blocks of space inside without getting a concussion. Oh, glass roof, that's pretty nice. Now this means this external part of the base is almost done. There is one more thing I want to kind of experiment with, and that's just going to be to place oak leaves on the outside here. I don't know if this is going to come out looking good. I'm just going to try and we'll see afterwards. Right, and you know what? I really am a fan of the leaves. I think it makes it look a lot more kind of neat and organized. That completes the square or rectangle look as well. But now with all of that being done, we can get started on the main important stuff and the really interesting stuff. So step 1 of making this base incredibly useful is, well, actually being able to get into the base. So I'm going to be building a staircase over here, and like I said, I'm just going to be using oak slabs. This is why I made the thing extra long. I like the not so steep slope that comes along with doing this, and 11 blocks is perfect because it gives you 1 block over here as well. Now I'm just going to break a hole in the wall over here. It's very simple, and once this hole over here is broken, I'm just going to place... Actually, wait, can I place that there? I can. Okay, cool. I'm just going to place oak logs over here, and we're going to be using some spruce planks on the floor here just to make sure everything lines up properly. And just because this is an entrance now, I'm going to be placing a oak column over here as well. Now, keeping mobs out is going to be extremely important. So we get 2 oak fences with an oak fence gate over here and 2 lanterns over there. Now you have easy access in and out of your base, and I'm going to repeat this on the other side as well, just so that I have access from both sides. Well, now that we're inside and now that we can get inside, the first thing we're going to be building on the side here is an enchanting table. I think this is a very important part to have in each base, an important thing to have in each base, because it's going to allow you to get your gear stronger without the help of villagers. We will, however, get to villagers later, but I also just want to make sure that I have enough storage around this enchanting table so that you can put your lapis and books and stuff in there. Then I always like to have an anvil because that's useful. I like to include a grindstone and an ender chest as well, just so that that's nearby. And yes, you can open this with glass above it. And then I'm also just going to put a cactus in over there. In the room directly opposite to that, I'm going to be making this kind of like my, I want to say, utility zone. So I'm going to be putting a crafting table, all the different types of furnaces, with a smithing table as well. And then I'm going to be putting a loom in here as well with a stone cutter. And I also want to make sure that there's chests in here. And again, you can open the chests when there's glass above it. And I also just want to place a few lanterns just around here. And this way, this room is very important to me, because as soon as you run into your base, usually if you need anything quickly, you can come here. It's very accessible, and you can put the items you usually use the most frequently in these chests. And if you want to, you could even just place a few barrels in over here. Now that we've got these first two rooms done, they're quite useful. I'm going to come over to the side here, and over here I'm going to be placing, well, I'm actually going to be building a bunk bed type system. And the reason for that is if you do ever have friends, or maybe you are in a squad, you guys can all live in this base. And this doesn't really look the nicest, but in all honesty, I'm kind of trying to go for optimization here, because I think that's just kind of what survival's mainly about as well. So this way you have crafting tables nearby as well. Honestly, you can even put like a furnace underneath here, and you could even have a chest here for each individual person's items. Actually, you could do this way each person could have a chest over here, and just for extra storage and for decoration, you could put barrels over there. Now we do have one more room at the top here, and the whole point of having this top area is to make it as useful and efficient for you as possible, so that if you do ever run into your base, you have access to everything. So this room over here is going to be basically like redundant stuff, a redundancy of many things, but just so that it is available for you if you need it. So if you ever need to smelt a lot more at once, you can just kind of smelt it in here. We can put a stone cutter over there and hang a lantern from the roof. Then we can also just store a whole bunch more items in here. This is not going to be the main storage area, but like I said, it's just a nice large area that's going to give you a good opportunity to store a good amount of stuff that's easily at hand. Now I'm mainly just going to be adding in a few more decorations, just because I kind of want the top area here finished off before I start on the bottom. And that's basically going to include like an armor stand with the entire squad's armor on it, or basically armor for the entire squad if there is an entire squad. With all of that being said, we can start working on the bottom level now. But there is one more thing we need to do, and that's we need to actually be able to get there. So to make this even more efficient, I'm going to be building a bubble elevator system here, and don't worry, it's not too complicated for those of you who don't know how to make it, and I will be showing you how to do it, because I just feel like this is it's a very important thing to be able to build in your base, because it makes everything so much better. It makes you be able to access levels so much quicker without having to use a bucket and stuff. So let's say now on the left here, I'm going to, well then actually this needs to be a plank, and over here I'm going to say this is going to be down. So I'm going to just put that over there, and I'm going to say down, and then over here this is going to be up. Just like that. And now at the one that goes up, we can place a sand over there, and we can put a few fence gates over here just to keep the water in that tunnel. It doesn't look pretty, but it's going to be very effective. So now we can just place water, or we also need to put a few, actually no, we don't need to put anything there, but we do need to place water in there. And then we can place a piece of, oh no, not like that. We can put kelp over here, and let me just get my, oh wait, I don't need bone meal because my tick speed is like 1500. So now if I break that kelp, as you can see, there are now bubbles. So now I can put water over here, so that when you fall down, you fall into the water source. And when you want to go up, you can just, shouldn't close those, but now you can just go up. You can fall down, and you can go up. Super efficient. Now I was very strategic with wanting to build the mine at the bottom here, because obviously it's at the bottom, so you can dig down. So whenever I'm mining, I always need a ton of storage. So basically I'm going to be putting chests next to them, and this is just my way of knowing it's the mine. I can see a pickaxe over there, and you could create another bubble elevator thing over here. Also consider moving the lantern so that you can get up and down. But what I like doing, it's very simple. If you don't want to make another bubble elevator, you can just slap a trapdoor in there and put ladders over here, maybe add a few lanterns in the side, and there you have a cool entrance to your mine. I'm also going to be absolutely stacking furnaces in here, and maybe a few blast furnaces for those ores as well. But this way you also have the means of being able to smelt whatever you mine up. Also, I need to make sure there's enough light here. Now you could argue that with all the smelting capabilities we have upstairs and with all of these furnaces over here, that's going to be enough, and chances are it very well could be. However, I do like the idea of having an automatic smelter so that we can just kind of keep that running, which means we can connect the chest to that and it'll just keep functioning. So that's what I'm going to be building in this room over here, and you just want to start by kind of digging an area like that out, and then you want to shift and right click on the chests with the hopper to connect that hopper to the chests. Now you can place a furnace on top of these hoppers over here, and then you can place another hopper on top of those furnaces. And what we actually want to do is we want to break these planks out and place stairs over here. This way we can place a chest in on top of the hopper, and what we could do now is we could just get, like, let's say we have a stack of coal and we have, I don't know, 4 stacks of stone. We could now just go and fuel the furnace with the coal, and then we could just pop all of the stone into the chest above, and that falls into the hopper fills up the furnace, and I can't right click it because of axiom stuff, and yeah, now it just smelts everything, and as soon as it smelts it goes directly into this chest over here, which means you get stone, and it's all kind of automated. And if you know me, you already know I'm going to be stacking even more chests here. And just another cool trick real quick, what we could do here is we could just get a few spruce slabs, and then from the top you won't even be able to tell it looks different. Now you can put an extra layer of chests in over there. It does look a little bit rough around the edges, but I mean, hey, at least you get to store a few more items. But you know what, that's 2 rooms done at the bottom here, which means we still have 2 left, and we really can make the most of these 2 rooms. And what I'm going to be using them for is essentially a compact storage area. And I'm going to dig 2 blocks into this hole over here, 2 blocks into the wall over there, and 2 more blocks into this wall over here. And by the way, I'm going to be repeating this on the other side. I'm not going to show you that because it's probably going to be a little bit boring to watch, but we're just going to replace the ground over here with stone bricks as well. And the walls we can just place some oak in, just trying to keep with the whole theme of everything we're doing. Actually, wait, the back walls need to be glowstone. If you have glowstone on hand, you could use glowstone. I'm just showing you all of these tricks that I like to do because you may be able to replicate this in your base as well. Let me also just place some spruce above here. Basically the game plan is to just make this look like the whole theme of the rest of the base. Now what you want to do is you want to go sideways like that and place the chests in like this. This is going to be the most efficient space-wise. Then what we're going to do again over here is we're just going to place a few slabs in, which means we are again going to have to cover those gaps like that. This is going to allow us to place a 3rd layer of chests. Now it really starts adding up because that's a whole, 5 extra chests. So because you have them all in place like that, now you can just shift and right click on those chests and it turns them into a double chest. And just like that, look at all of that storage you have, and now you repeat it in this wall, and I'm going to repeat it in this wall and in this wall. Now we can get to one of the most important parts of your survival world, and that's going to be villager trading. If you haven't tried it yet, I highly recommend you do it because it's the most OP thing in Minecraft. But it is going to be quite tricky for you to get the villagers in here, so you may have to watch a separate tutorial just for that, so keep that in mind. But basically what I'm doing here is I'm just busy trying to essentially make like little chambers for them, and I'm just going to be again following the exact same thing, oak on the walls just like so, and I'm going to be putting a lantern up here so that the villager has light. Also I need to place a spruce plank over there. Anyway, this way I didn't do this wall. This way the villager has light. Now what's also going to be important is the villager's workstation. If you didn't know, the villager is, well, it's a certain type of villager depending on its workstation, and well, for me, the villagers I enjoy the most are librarians, because you can get cool enchanted books out of them. But you might also need a few other villagers to trade with, to trade your emeralds with, so that you can get all kinds of other goodies as well. And XP, they actually can give some pretty good XP. But anyway, just like this, the lantern is going to block the villager from being able to jump out. Just like, see, I can't get in here because of the workstation in there. So you can just spawn your villager in. It instantly acknowledges the workstation. Okay, you won't be able to spawn it in if you're not in creative. You're going to have to get a minecart or a boat or something to get the guy in there. Good luck with that. I do not look forward to that at all. But now you have different kinds of villagers. And I'm just going to repeat this on the other side as well. Now what I want to do is, this is also a very important thing I believe for bases. You need to put enough crafting tables in here to make sure that you always have one on hand. Because there's nothing more annoying than being busy over here and realizing you need to craft something and then having to run all the way up to the top level just to get a crafting bench. So I really like having them kind of scattered all throughout. This way you always have access to one wherever you need it. Now the last thing I wanted to show you, which I believe is a very crucial part of any underground base, especially if you're playing with other people, is a secret room. And that's, we're going to build quite an elaborate secret room here. Let me just see if I can count this correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then keep in mind the nature of my base means that I have a staircase right over here, right? So I'm digging a hole over there, and my goal is to dig it out like this and in under the staircase. By doing this, I'll be able to build my first, if you want to call it, hold on, is this yeah, I got it right. Okay, cool. I'll be able to build my first like semi-secret base, and this is going to be a dummy base. Don't tell anyone, but it's going to be a dummy base. Now I'm going to make it my dummy base is by, as you can see, the hole is over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open these trapdoors just like that, and then I'm going to place a painting over here. If I can just get, hold on, I might need to put that over there and this over here, and I should be able to place a painting over there. And because those gates are open now, I can just run through here, right? So the reason this is a dummy base, the reason I say that is because this is it's still quite easy to accidentally find. And the whole point of this is that if people find this, they must think that they've just found your base. However, if you have a trap door over there just covering your water source up, actually hold on, let me place that over there. To make it even more believable, you can place a lantern on there, right? Now every time you want to use this trap door, you can break that lantern and you can exit through your water source into your actual secret base down here. You see, we gotta be playing mind games with them. Final two things I really want to speak about is pay attention to how I've tried to really work and like make this safe, right? So I've got a lot of light around here. That means mobs won't be spawning in this general direction, however, or area. They are still going to be spawning around the outside here, which is why I have included a gate system over here so that they don't get in. Hold on, this is just messing up again. Anyway, I've also included glass on the roof to allow sunlight in during the day and to keep the mobs out. You may want to build a more elaborate door here, just like a solid door, so that skeletons can't shoot you through here should they find their way in. And then another very big thing that I do want to speak about is you could very easily turn one of these sections into an animal pen if you'd like to. Personally, I don't really enjoy adding those things into my base because they make a lot of noise, and I'd rather build it further out as well. That's why I also didn't really include a portal in here. I know I said that initially, but they do just make so much noise. But the villagers do as well, but the villagers I'm willing to deal with because they're just so valuable. With all of that being said, you could have very easily just built a portal in one of these rooms and it wouldn't really have caused an issue in any way. If you do build a portal in any of those rooms, I would highly recommend adding a brewing station with nether wart as well for potions like fire resistance when going to the nether. With that being said, thank you for watching. Just a reminder that this build will be on my Patreon, and if you'd like to support the channel, consider subscribing. It helps a ton.